Hello, I'm Jane-Velez-Mitchell, and this is our mascot, Rico, and welcome to a joint production of Jane Unchained, which is my website, janeunchained.com, and Donnie Moss of theirturn.net, who is with Max, and our very special guest today, Josh Tetrick, who is the head honcho over at Hampton Creek and is the maker of the product I am holding in my hand right now. It is called Just Mayo. And we have Josh on because, first of all, I love this product. It's delicious to me, and I think it's wonderful because it's cruelty-free. It contains no eggs, so we don't have hens having to sit there in cages producing eggs that then go into mayonnaise, and that's better for the planet as well. Now, because it doesn't have eggs, is that one reason why, Josh Tetrick, you were just sued? Your company was just sued by Unilever, which is a $60 billion company that makes, my understanding is, a traditional mayonnaise like Hellmann's.
They do. That's great. Yeah, Hellmann's, owned by Unilever, and it's also called Best Foods East of the Rockies, is far and away the most popular mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is the most popular condiment in the United States, and yeah, you're right, Jane. We received word that they filed a lawsuit. We are specifically using plants instead of chicken eggs in our mayo. We think it makes it healthier, we think it makes it more affordable, and we think we need big change in food, and that's why we did what we did.
Well, let me just take a look at this for a second. Now, I've looked at it, and by the way, I got to tell you, I think this is probably some of the best advertisement you've gotten since your company started, because there is something like, when you put this lawsuit in, there's something like 17,000 articles that come up. 17,000 is the number that pops up when you put it in, so it makes me wonder, is this, and I'll throw that to Donnie Moss, perhaps backfiring on Unilever by giving Just Mayo the kind of publicity it couldn't buy?
I mean, in my opinion, Jane, this is a PR debacle for Unilever. I mean, you think about it, a multi-billion-dollar company is suing an eco-friendly startup. It just doesn't make any sense. In this case, Just Mayo is the underdog, and people support the underdog. Is their legal strategy a good one? I don't know. Maybe Josh knows that, but from a PR standpoint, this is not good.
Now, according to the New York Times, which I am reading the article right here, and I'm quoting from the New York Times, in its lawsuit, Unilever contends that Just Mayo is denting sales of its popular mayonnaise products known as Hellmann's in the East and Best Foods west of the Rockies. Do you find that odd that they're acknowledging that your product is hurting their sales, and that is, you're saying, and I haven't read the lawsuit, but you're saying that they mention this in the lawsuit?
They do, Jane. They specifically say that about 50% of the people that buy Just Mayo formerly bought Best Foods or Hellmann's, and I think part of the reason why we're seeing this is, you know us a little bit better than most. We've had the chance to talk before. We didn't start Hampton Creek to just play to vegans or vegetarians or people who care about natural food. We started Hampton Creek because we think the good things should be accessible to everyone, which is why if your viewers go to their local Walmart, they'll see us right in the condiment set. If they go to Kroger, they'll see us there, or Costco. We're even in the Dollar Tree. So we have, our theory of change brings us everywhere, and that affordable price point brings us everywhere too. And it's different than I think what some companies have seen before, but it flows from why we started this thing in the first place.
All right, I want to present Unilever's side of the story. And by the way, Unilever, if you'd like to have a representative come on this Facebook page, Google Hangout, Their Turn, Jane Unchained, we would be happy to have you. We have a lot of questions we'd like to ask you, so you're invited anytime. But getting back to what has been reported in the paper of record, the New York Times, Unilever said Just Mayo lacked testing to back up the claim on its Facebook page that it beat Hellmann's in a taste test. And Unilever said that Just Mayo failed to meet the FDA's definition of mayonnaise as an emulsion of vegetable oil and acid-like vinegar or lemon juice and an ingredient containing egg yolks. Thus, Miracle Whip, made by Kraft Foods, is called itself. calls itself a spread or salad dressing. So I want to give you a chance to respond. Josh Tetrick of Hampton Creek, which makes just mayo right here, and we're going to do a little taste test in a second. But I'd like to give you a chance to respond to what was said.
So I think there are two big issues. One is obviously a legal issue that is incredibly important. The FDA does have standard of identities. They were first drafted around 1938, and since have created standards for everything from ketchup to pizza to mayonnaise. Part of the reason us selecting mayo is because the standard specifically addresses mayonnaise, and there are some other companies out there, including a product called Mindful Mayo, owned by a company much larger than Hampton Creek, that has also done the appropriate legal analysis to make sure that they're staying within the structure of the standard of identity. The second piece that you referenced is the taste test thing, and Jane, we have plenty of sensory analysis that we do both internal and external that show those facts to be accurate. And I think more importantly than data that we could show, I think looking at Unilever's own declaration, where they say 50% of the people who purchase just mayo were formerly purchasing Hellmann's, and they're probably not doing that if their mayo is breaking apart when they make a chicken salad, or when they put it in their hamburger, or when they make a veggie salad of it.
In my case, I like to take these snap peas, and I'm going to dip them in a little just mayo. All right, and let's do a little taste test. Oh my gosh, this is delicious.
I think Rocco might like that too.
Wow.
Jade, in a taste test, you usually compare it to something else, but this is just a...
Why bother? Why bother? Honestly, I can't compare it to mayonnaise because I'm a vegan, so I don't eat products that have eggs in them, and there's a reason why. The reason I don't eat products with eggs is that I'm a vegan. I don't believe in using animal products. I don't think we have to. I don't do it, and look, I'm certainly not in danger of starving anytime soon. I think we can all acknowledge that. And my mom, who's a vegetarian, is, well, 98. I think that dates me, but she's about to turn 99 in February. So we know that you can survive well on a diet. And obviously, Donnie Moss, there are environmental advantages to eliminating meat and dairy products, including eggs, when we can, as a culture.
I mean, yeah, we hear time and again that studies show that animal agriculture is the largest contributor to greenhouse gases. So we know it's animal products like eggs are environmentally destructive. Beyond that, Jane, the battery cages in which 95 to 99% of all of these hens that produce eggs are kept are the most intensive form of confinement that we have in animal agriculture today. They're slowly being phased out and around the world, but we have a long way to go. In the meantime, the best option for all people is to abstain from the consumption of eggs altogether, for the environment, for the health, and for the animals.
How Unilever makes it, gets its eggs. You were making a generic statement about, in general, the vast majority of eggs are from hens that are kept in factory farm conditions. So that's a generic statement. We're not referring to any particular company. You go with Josh Tetrick.
So, Jane, the big philosophy of Hampton Creek is most food that we feed ourselves, that we feed our families, is shitty for our bodies and the planet, if we're being honest about it. That food also happens to be often delicious and affordable. And we think the problem with the system of food today is lots of good people are shopping all around and feeding their family food that is affordable, that is delicious, that is not so good in other ways. We want to create a different system, one in which the food that tastes a lot better, the food that is a lot more affordable, happens to be better for the body, the planet, and other things that mean a lot. Mayo for us is a simple example. It's a use case of that. We'll produce many other things, but mayo is a good start. And back in the day, listen, everyone was addicted to the idea that we had to kill sperm whales and extract wax from their head cavities and use them to make candles, and we thought that was the only way to make a candle back in the day, and it wasn't a real candle unless we did that. And we used to think we had to get from point A to point B on a horse and buggy. And when something better comes around, people tend to move towards that. And since this happened, we've had close to 15,000 people sign a petition supporting us. We've had now over 47,000 messages from all across the world on Facebook, on our email, saying, keep on keeping on, and we will, because that's who we are.
Well, let me say this. I'm looking at my Google printout. I put Unilever sues Just Mayo. And again, 17,000 results. This has been covered by Forbes, the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, which I quoted from earlier, all sorts of other, Business Insider, the Daily Mail, so it's gone global, bizjournals.com. The list goes on and on and on. I could be here for an hour. Could you buy this kind of advertising if you wanted to? It seems like Just Mayo just became a household word precisely because you got sued by a $60 billion company.
I think, Jane, that Unilever is, your viewers might be surprised in hearing me say this, but I actually think they're one of the most progressive companies there is. Their CEO actually cares a lot. He cares a lot about sustainable transformation, about business models to solve urgent needs. And it's a little bit surprising, I think, the lawsuit coming from them in particular. I think there might be a disconnect between some of the leadership and maybe some of the brand and the legal teams. But it was surprising, and I wouldn't be surprised, given the outpouring of support and the attention, if we don't see the lawsuit withdrawn. Because it really doesn't make sense. If you look at Unilever statements on their website about what they say in terms of how they're embracing change in the world, this is not that. And if they ask themselves, is this who we really are? I think the answer is going to be, it's not, and this is not who we ever want to be.
Donnie Moss of theirturn.net, you're a consumer, you're an American, as am I. What would you say to the heads of Unilever about all of this? And I know this is just your opinion and your thoughts, but as consumers, and I believe we're more than consumers, I believe we are citizens, but as a consumer, what would you say?
Well, I would tell them to drop the case, because I think that they're doing themselves a disservice. But on the flip side, as somebody who cares about animals and the environment, and knowing how much attention this case is going to bring to cruelty-free, sustainable alternatives, part of me wants them not to dismiss it, to be quite honest.
I'd just like to say, I have one more question first. Bill Gates. Bill Gates is one of your backers. Have you been able, and I'm a huge fan of Bill Gates. I've admired him since I first heard about him. I've always followed his career. I think he's what I would call an ethical capitalist who takes some of his profits and puts it to try to make the world a better place in many ways. He's backed you. Have you had a chance to talk to him about all of this?
I didn't have the chance to have a conversation with him yet about this, but I do think, to both your points, this is an opportunity to have a larger conversation about how antiquated and just foolish a lot of our food system is. There's no way we're going to be able to solve these problems with creating frameworks and thinking like horse and buggies are out on the street. And I'm sure Gates very much agrees with that. And hopefully it ends up being a good thing, because we get to have this conversation. Otherwise, we might not be talking now, and your viewers might not be thinking about really radical, disruptive innovation in food. And we think that's a conversation worthy of having.
Well, Josh Tetrick, and thank you, Josh. Thank you, Donnie Moss of theirturn.net. I do hope you come back. I hope we continue this conversation. And sorry there, Rico. But meantime, Just Mayo. Okay? This is the subject of a lawsuit. I can tell you, I got good taste buds. Good. Darn good. Thank you. Until next time.
Thanks.